Ada was the epitome of a dutiful daughter. Raised under the firm hand of Pastor Otterer, she grew up in the shadow of his towering expectations, her life tightly bound to the church and its teachings. She was known for her obedience, her devotion to God, and her willingness to follow her father's every word. But deep inside her heart, Ada felt a yearning for something more, a life that extended beyond the narrow confines of her father's world. One fateful evening, while returning from choir practice, Ada was accosted by a group of boys in a dimly lit alley. Just as panic began to take over, a young man emerged from the shadows. With sharp instincts and a fearlessness that startled the attackers, he drove them away. That young man was Aki, a streetwise boy with a tough exterior and a heart softened by unseen wounds. Grateful and intrigued, Ada thanked him. Aki, noticing the delicate girl before him, smiled warmly and walked her home. That brief encounter ignited something neither of them could explain. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. Ada, the pastor's sheltered daughter, and Aki, a boy hardened by the streets. But fate seemed to have tied them together. In the days that followed, Ada couldn't stop thinking about Aki. Despite her father's strict rules, she began sneaking out to see him. They met in quiet corners of the bustling city, their conversations growing deeper with each passing moment. Ada shared stories of her structured life, while Aki opened up about his struggles, the streets that shaped him, and the pain of losing his family. Their bond grew stronger, and so did the risks. Oses, Ada's cousin and closest confidant, discovered their meetings. Shocked and worried, she confronted Ada. "You're playing with fire," she warned. "If Uncle Otterer finds out, he'll never forgive you." But Ada, now consumed by her feelings for Aki, refused to end their relationship. Meanwhile, Stan, Ada's childhood friend, began to notice her frequent absences and growing distance. Stan had always harbored feelings for Ada, but his love had remained unspoken. One evening, he followed her and saw her with Aki. Jealousy and betrayal burned within him, and he confronted her. "What are you doing with someone like him?" he asked angrily. "He'll ruin you." Ada defended Aki, her voice unwavering. "You don't know him, Stan. He's not what you think." Stan's bitterness drove him to seek revenge. He approached Bucci, a gang leader who despised Aki for reasons rooted in a long-standing rivalry. Together, they devised a plan to separate Aki and Ada, no matter the cost. Pastor Otterer soon became suspicious of Ada's behavior. One evening, he followed her and found her with Aki. Enraged, he dragged her home, his voice thundering through their modest house. "You are forbidden to see that boy again," he declared. But for the first time in her life, Ada defied her father. "I love him, Papa," she said firmly. "You can't stop me." Aki and Ada's relationship became more dangerous as Bucci's men began to close in on them. One night, Aki was ambushed and left bloodied in a back alley. Aoife, his closest friend, found him and nursed him back to health. When Ada learned of the attack, she was devastated. She rushed to Aki's side, tears streaming down her face as she promised to stay with him no matter what. But the stress and tension began to take a toll on Ada. Her health, once robust, started to fail. She hid her weakness from Aki, not wanting him to feel guilty, but her body betrayed her. Despite her declining health, she convinced Aki to run away with her. "We'll leave this place," she said, her voice weak but determined. "We'll start over somewhere far away." The night of their planned escape, tragedy struck. Ada collapsed in Aki's arms, her body unable to endure the strain of their forbidden love. Desperate, Aki carried her to the hospital, his heart pounding with fear. Pastor Otterer, Oses, and even Stan rushed to the hospital, their guilt and regret written on their faces. The doctors worked tirelessly, but Ada's condition was critical. In her final moments, Ada held Aki's hand tightly. "I don't regret loving you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Promise me you'll keep living, Aki. Live for both of us." She turned to her father, her eyes filled with forgiveness. "Papa, don't blame yourself. Love is all I ever wanted." Ada's last breath left the room in silence. Aki was inconsolable, his grief consuming him. Pastor Ottera, shattered by the loss of his daughter, realized the depth of his mistakes. He sought forgiveness from Aki and promised to honor Ada's memory by changing his ways. In the aftermath of Ada's death, Aki channeled his pain into building a better life. With the support of Aoife and even Pastor Ottera, he left the streets and started a small business, dedicating his success to Ada's memory. Stan, racked with guilt for his role in the tragedy, turned to faith and sought redemption. Ada's story became a powerful reminder of the sacrifices love demands and the courage it takes to defy societal expectations. Though she was gone, her legacy lived on in the lives she touched, inspiring others to choose love, compassion, and forgiveness over hatred and fear.